10,000 square foot thrift store, the largest thrift store in St. Bernard Parish, the only reentry program in St. Bernard Parish. We have a movie on YouTube called SisterHearts movie. We just won the Great Neighbor Award last month and received a real nice check from Premier Automotive, Mr. Troy Duhan. We have been sponsored by Square, Twitter, Adidas, the Vera Institute, and the list goes on and on. And so the success of where I started just less than 4 years ago is just phenomenal, because truly within 3 years I built this empire. But it wasn't without hard work. It wasn't without a lot of community support. And I'm here to tell you that through the encouragement that Ray gave me those first initial months that I came home from prison, there was nothing that I felt like I couldn't do. And nothing stood in my way. And I didn't allow anything to stand in my way. I made no excuses for what it was that I wanted. And I just got up and went and did it. So here I am today. It's really interesting doing a show live with Ray Wilkerson. And I truly will tell anybody that if you think that it's a game or that it's something other than for your own personal betterment, that Ray have the type of programs that he has, I'm here to tell you it is for your own benefit. It is for your own success. I could go on and on and on with telling you different things about the way my life has been transformed, but it's so beautiful to just see where I've come from and to think of where I'm going. And the beauty about where I'm going is that Ray has a wonderful program where he's only a phone call away. And that gives me a lot of comfort. Like, to give you an example, I'm the first formerly incarcerated individual to be enrolled in St. Bernard Leadership Academy for the Chamber of Commerce. The first formerly incarcerated individual to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. The first formerly incarcerated individual to graduate from Citizen Police Academy in St. Bernard Parish. And I could go on and on with the list of being the first to do things in the community. But basically, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And
so Mary, let me ask you some questions. And I thank you for all the accolades, but really, I really didn't do too much. It was already in you. Share some of the things that you're doing for the women that's coming out, what classes you're doing. Where are some of the really challenges? What are some of the pushbacks being not just being coming out of prison, but also being from a Black woman's perspective, coming out of prison into a world that really, me knowing you and your personality will scare a lot of men. So come from that perspective, talk to the women tonight about some of the things you overcome, give them some suggestions, pour into their life, tell them how to get where you at and where you want to go.
Well, anybody that knows me, even on a small scale, they know that I keep it real. I'm not going to try to say what you want to hear because it sounds pretty. I'll tell anyone on the face of the planet that your power is not between your legs. Your power is between your ears. It's in your head. That's where your power lies. And when a woman respects herself and understands that she is sacred and understands her value, she won't settle for anything less than what she is deserving of, which is the best. When I came home from prison, I had my challenges of men that felt like as soon as I hear a zipper, I was supposed to pounce on them. That's not how it works for me, you know, because I was not for sale. I've never been for sale, because I don't think any man could really afford me anyway, because I think highly of myself, and I'm not for sale. My soul is not for sale. Once I learned where my value was, which was between my ears, I read. I'm not trying to outsmart anybody. You know, women, we're trained to use our physical prowess to entice men to get things that we want. But what I found that works very easily for me is just hard work. I just simply work hard, and the right man will respect that. And he won't have a problem working by me and standing by me. He won't have a problem with that. He won't be intimidated with the fact that I'm not afraid to work. And I work hard. But I think that if more women were to apply themselves, and when the women come home from prison and they were living in the transitional house that we were sponsoring, I do self-worth classes. I call them decarceration classes. And I help them to understand what their value is. And I find out something that they're good at, something that they enjoy. And then we go from there. Because whatever it is that you like to do, whatever your passion is, it's what you're going to be good at. And you capitalize off of that. That's how I feel about that.
So, you know, if some of the ladies out there, if y'all have some questions, please feel free to chime in. So where do you see Sister Heart? Tell us a little bit about Sister Heart and where that came from, the name Sister Heart, and what is it evolved to, and what would evolve to even further down the road?
First of all, Sister Heart, the name Sister Heart came from prison. Because when I was in prison, there were a lot of really good women that were there. And those women, they stood by me. Those women, they stole food for me to eat. They stole medicine for me. When I was sick, they stood by me. They held me when I cried. Those women were there for me, and they were supportive of me, and I love those women. And if someone were to try to tell me not to love them, it would be equivalent to taking a piece of my heart out of my chest. I would cease to exist. And that's just not going to happen, because I love them with that type of intensity. The other thing is, prison, for me, dehumanized, desensitized, and demoralized me in a lot of ways, I felt like. And so I needed to decarcerate after incarceration. But when I got out of prison, there was no place for me to have therapy. There was no place where I could talk to people about what I was going through, about what I was feeling. So I started selling gently used items out of a suitcase, going street corner to street corner. And in the process of me selling the items, I started developing social skills, communication skills, survival skills. I just started developing a lot of skills that prison had taken away from me. In the process of developing these skills, I started learning some things about myself, about my character, about my integrity, and that I had a lot of dignity about myself. So as I would meet some of the other women that were in prison along with me, I guess they just started migrating towards me. And some didn't have a place to stay, so I let them come and stay with in my house. So then as we began to grow from just that, then I got a larger facility, until I had a 15-bed facility for women formerly incarcerated. And then from there, now we had a safe place to sleep. It was clean, and it was ours. It was home. And we could, advance ourselves from just being there.
And you know what's so amazing? Because actually this house actually started out in my house in North Carolina. But my sister Rucker, she has a question. how was transitioning back into society when you first returned from prison?
Transitioning back in society for me when I came back was horrible.
Woo!
I was petrified. I had no place. If Exodus House had not existed for me, I would have had no place to stay. And I'm one of many women, but it was horrible for me. I felt I was intimidated. I felt afraid. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't want to be around people. You know, I wasn't confident within my own self. I didn't like people. I was angry. I was bitter. I was frustrated. I was confused. I didn't have money. I didn't really know how to survive because I had been mentally and emotionally broke down in prison. I had been physically abused on levels that people won't even begin to imagine. You know, I had been emotionally abused, mentally abused, physically abused. I felt like a shell of a woman coming back out into society, and I was afraid. I was petrified. I didn't even know what freedom was. And one of the reasons that I feel that the Exodus House was so good for me, and this may not make sense to a lot of people, but it was good for me because it was a gated community. It still had resemblances of me still being in prison. Because even though I had been released, I wasn't free on the inside. And so I needed to gradually go into freedom because I didn't know how to be free. I didn't know what freedom looked like. I had been kept in a 6x9 prison cell year after year after year, and that was the only space that I had. So all of a sudden I have the world at my feet. What am I going to do with it? So it was horrible for me. And even now, I'm just learning after all these years, I'm just now learning how to develop relationships. I'm just learning how to trust myself in ways emotionally that I don't really talk about. And yes, I'm very successful, and I can truly say I excel in a lot of areas, but emotionally, I know that I'm still very traumatized. And there's other women that go through the same things that I'm going through, but they don't really know how to express it. And a lot of times they use drugs and alcohol and prostitution and just being a hoe to accommodate for some of the trauma that we went through, because it's so humiliating and so embarrassing that we don't want to tell anybody. We're too ashamed to tell anybody about the abuse that we went through in prison. So my reentry, you know, I don't even, I know it doesn't probably sound nice, but my reentry was almost from one prison to another prison, but I was comfortable in that environment because I felt safe. I didn't want anybody to just have access to me. I didn't want that. I even till today, I'm not really comfortable sometimes when I'm in large crowds. So I'm telling you, the transition from prison to the free world for me, it had to be gradual. And even now, you know, I've created a world all of my own, and I'm in my little world, and very rarely do I go out or do I really do too much. I don't, you know, sometimes I wonder how my success got to be where it is, because truly I haven't went looking for it.
So another question, and let me bring that question back up, because you actually have two questions, Sister Rucker. She asked, do you feel that once a person has done hard time in prison and get out, that they continue to having to serve the sentence over and over by not really getting a clean slate and fresh start with trying to obtain employment? Now, before you answer that, I just want to share this. One of the things that, you know, me being formerly incarcerated, a lot of y'all might not know that. If y'all heard my story, y'all know I did prison time and all that stuff. And one of the things I realized after getting out of prison, that there was one person that wasn't going to fire me. There's one person that will always be going to hire me, and that was me. So even with this question, which you're going to be asked to Mary, one of the things that I would tell her would be, hold on, you know what, you don't have to worry about filling out an application and putting you a felon if you become an entrepreneur. But do I need to read that question again? So you can,
Yes.
Yeah, let me read it again. So I just want to let you know from the part she's coming from, because employment for guys, people coming out of prison, that is something that can actually cause you to go back in prison if you don't have the right people around you to teach you that when you were out there in the world, be it a drug deal or be whatever you were doing, you are creating income. Now that you get out, you need to be able to create income, create business, look, that's legal, but using the same principles that got you in jail. But now you're using the principles for good because you're following the law. So here's the question again. Do you feel that once a person has done hard time in prison, and we need to define what hard time means also, and get out, that they continue to having to serve sentence over and over by not really getting a clean slate or a fresh start with employment?
That's a very, very good question. And I understand that question from a different perspective, because in prison, it's hammered in our heads that we're not successful unless we get a job. They don't have entrepreneur training for us in prison. So as part of the reentry process, it is that we have to get a job in order to be bona fide successful. All of us is not designed to own our own businesses, just like all of us is not designed to work for someone. And I'm not against working for someone. I'm not against that at all. But for most of us that went to prison, a lot of us, we were hustlers. We were street hustlers. We hustled on our jobs, but we did some type of hustling, because most people that are in prison take risks. We take risks that average people don't take. So what's happening with that is this. I've learned how to take a hustle man's mentality and transform it into a CEO mentality. And that CEO mentality is very simple, because the hustler out on the street, he's got people helping him sell drugs, or he's got women working for him, or he's got other criminals doing stuff for him. He's got workers. A CEO has workers also. The hustler out on the street, he makes sure his people get paid, whether he's robbing to do it or however he's doing it, but he makes sure they get paid. A CEO, he makes sure his people is getting paid. It's the structure at which these two individuals is maintaining themselves and the discipline that they have. But there's a lot of similarities. So basically, instead of taking the approach where my hand is out and I want somebody to give me a job, I take that same hand and I create my own job. That's just the way that flows with me. You know, when I came home, I had a job. I'm the first formerly incarcerated person to ever work at the juvenile prison for the New Orleans juvenile justice system. I quit that job, which was a very good job, to start my own business in the thrift store. Because during my lunch break, when I had my little small booth in the flea market, I would come on my lunch break and make more money in 1 hour than I would make sometimes in 2 weeks of being on my job. So that was a no-brainer for me.
So let me just share real quick. Sister Rucker has another question, but she made a statement about everybody. Okay, that's true, Brother Ray, but not everyone's mindset is ready or strong to get out and jump straight into entrepreneurship. Well, and then she said, be thankful for your job, but don't be satisfied. So let me give it from a perspective. Let me give you from a perspective of a person coming out of prison. And yes, everybody is not ready for an entrepreneur to be an entrepreneur, even though everybody in prison was an entrepreneur. Okay, no, be thankful for your job, but don't be satisfied. But here's where people have to start getting understanding. As strong as I was, college background, all that stuff, when I got out of prison, and you can attest to this, when you go to fill out an application, you get to this question that says, have you been in prison or have you been locked up in the last 5 years? You sitting there knowing if you say yes, you're not going to get the job.
Right.
You sitting there, you know if you say no, at some point, they're going to catch you. So it's not as easy as a lot of people think to want to get out of prison. And not that you don't want to get a job. It's just, once again, it's that shame and embarrassment that you were talking about, that you just got through in prison. Now you coming back in the world seeing that same thing. So now you got to make a choice again. So for me personally, it was just a choice that I made, that I don't need to keep taking myself through that. So yes, everybody's not ready to be entrepreneur, and yes, they should be happy to get a job and not be satisfied. But you have to understand the psychological stuff that goes along with working for someone else with a prison record.
But Ray, in that same voice, when in prison, we're forced to lie, deceive, manipulate, connive. That's why they call us con artists, because they train us to be con artists. So when I got out of prison and I would go on these jobs, I was being forced to have to still do the same thing 9 times out of 10, which is lie on my application, then lie to the supervisor, lie to my coworkers. I just had to lie, because if they found out about the fact that I was a felon, I'd been in prison for such a long period of time, it was going to be. So I went to prison and I learned how to really lie. I get out of prison, I still have to really lie. I said, wait a minute, this is not working for me. So that's why when I started my business, when a person comes in there, I immediately say, do you know what we do here? They say, no, it's a thrift store. I said, no, we are a decarceration center. And inside this decarceration center, everybody here has been to prison. I've been to prison. I just got out.
Real quick, let me tell the truth. Explain to everybody what is a decarceration center. Explain that to them so they have an understanding of what you're saying.
Decarceration is mental. When you go to prison, you are dehumanized, demoralized, and desensitized. You are trained to think on such a animalistic level. You become institutionalized. We are not allowed to really use our brains to think for ourselves. We're told what to do 24 hours a day, other than when we're sleeping. We're told what time to sleep, what time to wake up, what to eat, when to eat, what to wear, where to go, when to go, who to go there with. We are trained to do all these things. And then we become very institutionalized. Then when we're released from prison, we're so institutionalized. That's why recidivism is such an all-time high, because people are so institutionalized. They do the things that they know can land them back into prison, because a lot of times that's the familiarity that they're familiar with. So they go back to prison. But when you come out, for me, I had to decarcerate my brain, because I was no exception. I was just as institutionalized as the next one that's institutionalized. But I understood that I was mentally and emotionally damaged, and I was traumatized, and I needed to do something. I needed to do something with my own self. And so with me having that in my mind, I knew that I had to decarcerate the incarcerated mind. And if I didn't decarcerate, then in my mind, I was still technically incarcerated, because people are released from prison many times, but they don't exit prison with their minds. So if you don't learn how to take that institutionalization out of your mind, then you just go on year after year after year with an institutionalized mind. When you are a drug addict, you go to rehab to take away that craving and all that. When you are an alcoholic, they have rehab for that. If you go crazy and you go into a mental hospital, they have that. But when you go to prison, there's no decarceration. You're incarcerated, but there's no decarceration. You have rehab for alcoholics, but you have rehab for everything, but there's no rehab for incarceration. So that's where I came up with the term decarceration, because you have to decarcerate a person after you've incarcerated them, because incarceration is so damaging to a human being, because we're not designed to be kept in cages and locked and chained and brutalized. And we're not designed for that as human beings. We're designed to be warm and loving and kind and thoughtful. But when you are treated like an animal and you start acting like an animal, you lose a lot of your humanly instinct to just be a human being. So when you come out, you have to rehumanize yourself. And if you don't understand, all these things have to take place in order for you to be whole again after incarceration. Then you just live the rest of your life out in an institutionalized mentality and in an institutionalized state.
So you guys, look, hit that share button, that like button. We got some more time here. Another question. I got a couple of questions that's backing up. You had a library. What type of books did you read in the library if you had access to it? And for what?
I read business. I read, well, my first priority was religion. I needed to find a spirituality. So religion was my number one thing. As a matter of fact, I filed a federal lawsuit and won for religious freedom in prison. The first female to ever do such a thing. But after the religious and the spirituality was business. I read business books, money-making books, books on how to start business, business plan. As a matter of fact, I wrote the entire business plan for SisterHearts while I was still in prison.
And I got to tell you, when Mary came to me, she just wanted to jump all into that administrative stuff. She had forms, she had everything. She had, I got this. I said, slow down. But she had it all. Here's another question. But what is so powerful about this, people? You know, business. Everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not going to be a business owner. But everybody would need to invest in a business who don't want to be a business owner so that they can be free. Here's another question from Sister Rucker. She just pouring them on. Here you go. Do they try to pay prior convicted felons less money simply because of having a prison record versus what they advertise to pay of that position?
I don't know who this sister is, but I want you to know, if you can hear the sound of my voice, this is a powerful woman, because that woman that's asking these questions.
Well, let me tell you, and I'm gonna try to shoot over a Zoom to her and I can get on. But anyway, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna introduce y'all to so y'all can talk. But go ahead.
Okay, but she's right, because what happens is when people know that we've been to prison, they treat us like what they think we are, which is second-class citizens. If a job regularly goes for $10, they're going to want to try to pay us $5. They'll try to pay us under the table so we don't really get the benefits. We are not, technically, when we're in prison, we are technically still slaves according to the 13th Amendment. And so when we come out, they still want to treat us like—
Hold on. Break that down to them. Break that down. You said technically we're still a slave based on the 13th Amendment. Break that down for them. Explain what you mean by that.
When a person is convicted of a felony, they give up their rights of a citizen and they are technically slaves. And that was how they continued the slave trade. That is how slavery is still in existence till today. And they use what they call as inmates, which is really slaves, to do free labor. We have to farm, we have to make clothes, we have to make shoes. They work us in prison, and sometimes they give us 2 pennies or they give us good time. Sometimes they give us 4 pennies, and then if you're really, really good, like a tutor, they may give you $1, but that's it. An hour. But we're not
to cut you off real quick. It's funny you said that. Hold that thought. It's funny you said that, because when I was in prison, as soon as they found out I had a college degree, they put me in the canteen and they put me in the business office. I was doing the books for 1,200 inmates, right? They were, you know, back then it was about $30,000-$40,000 salary. They're paying me. I think I might have been getting $1.25. So yeah.
Yeah, you was getting paid.
I had a, you know, and you know how they offset that. They gave me this green card. I could go and do mostly anything I wanted to do because I, you know. But the reality is, at 10 o'clock, guess what? I locked down too. But go ahead, finish that thought. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But no, the thing of it is this, that she's very correct. They treat us like second-class citizens. And there's another thing that I want to add to this. I catch a lot of hell because I get a lot of advertising, a lot of promotion from some really big organizations now. But what happens is that there are a lot of people that feel, and they've said it, why should this convict be getting this type of attention? She's been to prison. You know, it's like I'm still second class. And I'm like, no, you got me twisted. No, I'm not. I just went to prison. That don't make you no better or worse than I am. So I don't allow anyone to put me down on no kind of level, because I feel I'm very proud of myself and my accomplishments and what I do in my community, because I know I am an asset. But we are treated with less dignity, and they want to treat us in a lot of ways. But a lot of times we as formerly incarcerated people, we feed into that negativity, and basically we give them what they want through our behavior and our character. Okay, nobody stopped me from going to make money in my store, because I'm going to make money every day. Somebody's going to come buy something. I'm going to make money. And not only that, I'm always thinking about other business incubator ideas to make even more money. And that's just the way that kind of goes with me. But, you know, that's just me.
So now, I mean, you hitting some stuff that people do not understand the mentality of what it takes to come out of prison, not just as a female to come out of prison. What would you, out of everything that you have went through in life, what would be the most important thing you can tell a young sister in 2019?
What I would say to any young woman, have your own. Have your own. I don't care if it's nothing but $5, let it be yours. And you work for what you get. Don't let anybody just say, okay, well, I'm going to give you this, or I'm going to do this for you. No. Let me give you an example. My strong point is not bookkeeping and record keeping and stuff like that. That's not where I excel. But I'm in business, and I have to know how to do it. So I have an accountant, and my accountant is absolutely phenomenal. My accountant is so good. She does accounting in 48 states. But the beauty behind what my accountant is, I was in prison with her. She and I was literally almost like roommates. And I know how good she is in accounting. But I don't want her to just do everything for me. I still want to learn. I want to learn how to use QuickBooks. I want to learn how to take care of my own finances. I want to be in charge of my own finances. I want to be in charge. I don't care if I get to be at $1 billion. I still want to know how my finances are being spent. I want to know where they're going. I want to know how they're being spent. I want to know who's spending my money. And that's what I would give the advice to any woman. Make sure that you have money for a rainy day. If you can't make money for the next 30 days, your bill's supposed to still be able to get paid. Instead of going to do your nails and your hair and your this and that, set that money aside. Save your money so that you will never have to depend on anybody to just give you or do for you. And I would tell this to any woman, and I'm just not going to speak as just a woman. Never ask a man or a woman or anybody, don't ask when you need something. Always ask when you want it. And if you ask for what you want when you want it, you'll never need anything.
So we have another question. We have a question from Dina Ray. Now, Dina Ray, she's part of the family. She's actually in the incubation program. We've done all her paperwork. She's getting ready to set up some houses in New Jersey for women coming out of prison. That's her passion. And she's right there. So her question is, hold on. Her question is, let me find it again. Her question is, what were some of the obstacles she faced? What are some of the obstacles you faced when opening up your home, and how did you overcome them? Oh, she called me, Dina. No. Go ahead, Mary.
Some of the obstacles that I faced was getting, because I have a thrift store. So some of the obstacles that I faced was merchandising. I didn't have merchandise to sell. And then the other obstacle that I ran into was seemed like I would always get knocked down. Let me give you an example. I moved into the healing center because they had a thrift store there, a flea market there, and so I had a booth. Well, the guy that was there had some issues, and we all got kicked out. So I moved down the street in a smaller building, and then I got a big building. Well, when my landlord found out that I had advanced to a second location, she got angry with me, and she wanted me to move out of that building because she felt like I breached the contract because I got a second location. Your rent's not late. I'm still doing perfectly fine here, but just the audacity that I would open a second location, she just couldn't deal with that. And so I had to move out of that building. Those were some of the obstacles that I've come in contact with, is the envy and the jealousy of the fact that I'm not from Louisiana and I don't really speak the language. I don't really try to fit in nobody's crowd. And I find that a lot of times people go out of their way to try to just knock you down for no reason whatsoever, other than the fact that they feel they have the power to do so. And I'm experiencing a lot of that out here in St. Bernard Parish, but it really doesn't matter because, I just continue to stand. I'm like bad grass. I just keep coming back.
So look, I was trying to get Sister Ruck on, but I'll set that up for another time. So look, we're going to get ready to get out of here. So in closing, in parting, just drop it like it's hot.
In parting, this is what I would love for everybody to know. If you have a business idea or a business concept, share it. I know that many of you probably don't know anything about me, and that's okay, but share your ideas. The way, like Ray, and I'm putting him on blast, Ray is going to take me all the way under his little wings, and he's going to help me to soar. And eventually, I'm hoping that within the next couple of years, and maybe year, I will be at that Fortune 500 level that I'm trying my best to get to. But this is the thing, though. You definitely want to get a mentor. Get yourselves a manager to help manage and balance sometimes what it is that you want to do. You can't do everything on your own by yourself. Build your team. You need financial advisors. You need marketing advisors. You need public relation advisors. You need social advisors, community advisors. In order for you to grow and excel the way that you need to in a business, Then very simply, you have to surround yourself with a powerful team. And don't be afraid to share your thoughts and your dreams with other people, because just sometimes people need to know what you're thinking in order to help you to grow. And I'm a living witness of that, because I've had some wonderful people in my life, and you'll hear me speak well of Ray a lot, and not because he's paying me to do so, it's because it's just the truth. And I appreciate that. But surround yourself with positive people, with people that is growing, people that's about development, people that's not trying to hold you down. Leave all them people alone. Go on about your business. I don't care. It could be family. If they're not trying to help you grow and develop, leave them in the wind. Leave them in the dust. They'll be all right.
So look, so what she was trying to say, I just posted in the little thing, Exodus House Incubation Program. You want to be a part of Exodus House Incubation Program. Understand this. Listen, I'm going to put the little plug in real quick. Do you understand 47% of businesses that don't go through an incubation program survive after 4 years? 47 businesses, almost 50% of businesses are good after 4 years who don't go through an incubation program. But watch this. 87% of businesses that go through an incubation program are still in existence after 5 years. Why? Because of the resources that's placed around that particular individual in their businesses. So go to the website, exodusHouseATL.com. You got the phone number down there. Mary, tell them how they can get in touch with you.
It's SisterHeartsReentry.com. You can also reach me with Sister Hearts Thrift Store. We're located at 7519 West Judge Perez in Araby, Louisiana. Our phone number, 504-345-2276. We also accept donations. We need volunteers, and we need help.
What is your Facebook page?
My Facebook page is Sister Hearts Thrift Store. Instagram is SisterHeart_Thrift Store. And I'm also Maryam Uloho. And all you got to do is just Google Sister Hearts, and everything will just pop right up.
So this is what I want you guys to do. Go to Facebook, friend her right now, and all of them things. Go to Instagram, friend her. And listen, I am so grateful. I am so honored that a person of your stature that goes all over the country, that you speak everywhere, that you have sent, that you came on Ray's Corner Live, the peon that I am, the little nerd that I have become, that you have graced your presence with me. Thank you very much, Mary. And we're coming to you live, all the way from Ray's Corner Live, coming to you live from here. Where's here? Right here. And like we always say here on Ray's Corner Live, God loves you, and I love you. And guess what? Ain't nothing you can do about it. Peace. Love you, Mary. Tell everybody. See you later.
Bye. Bye, y'all.